Mueller sees the Medea myth that he uses in this play as the first myth about colonization. And he says that the Jason and the Argonaut story is about colonizing and about what happens when you colonize, because you, at the end, they get slain by their own ship. So the idea that we have colonized the world that is now hitting back, there's the only idea that we have about the world is markets now, markets, growth, and so on. This growth in the end will kill us. That's basically in the background of the myth as Mueller interprets it. And he also interprets it in terms of man colonizing woman and woman hitting back. You see, the text, in a way, does not colonize its material, the myth. It does actually leave it as material. It leaves it there as associations with personal problems that Mueller had with his own relationships, with material from Seneca and Euripides. He leaves it there. And it is actually not a play text at all. It is just material for anybody to use and to do something with it. And so in a way you could say this is a problem, but it is also a great freedom. You can do with it what you want. And what I tried to do with the text was to leave it also as material for an audience. So an audience can in fact make their own text. They have to choose what they want to see, what they want to hear. And they have to go out and puzzle their own theatre evening together. The text consists of 3 fragments, and I have added an earlier written Medea mime to the text. So this has actually never been done before, I think. So I started off with this mime, which gives you the Medea myth in a kind of very concentrated form, without words. And then I have looked at the text and fragmented it even more by putting lots of music in it. So I made the text sort of as if it was performed in a nightclub. Mueller once said the first text, The Spoiled Shore, could be performed in a peep show when the procedures are running. So I took the peep show idea so that the audiences in fact are feeling that they have to go and see whatever is happening. And then the second text, the actual Medea myths, I have I play simultaneously with 5 different couples in 5 different venues. And the major acting area is left by the actors, so the audience is left alone. They can read the text where they are, but they can't see or hear it much, so they have to go and see what they want to see. They have to want to see it, or they can stay and have a drink. So that is a different kind of approach to an audience, and that the audience has to have a different kind of approach to a play like that. I made it more difficult for them to join the action than in normal theatre. So people have to go and crowd round wherever action takes place, but they can also be very near to it. And so, it's just if they get bored with something, they can go to somewhere else, and they can hear echoes all over the place of things. And in a way, every member of the audience will hear a different and see a different play. And the third section then is Landscape with Argonauts. Here the women don't speak at all any longer. and the men speak these long monologues, ramble on and on and on, a kind of idea of the white middle-class intellectuals, artists possibly, who who complain about the world and don't do anything about it. And they, in the end, they sort of get either sucked in, destroyed by the women. They are kind of barnacles at the bottom of the sea. They are dead, really. It's a kind of futuristic setting in some ways. But you could read it differently. You could read it that they are sort of embraced in love with the Medeas. And in the actual ending of the productions I'm doing is everybody gets up and dances. So the nightclub is restored. Audience can join in.
Just double check it.
An audience response is not necessarily a cerebral one, a one of understanding with one's head. I think an audience gets involved by associations, by physical kind of memories of their own bodies, of their own desires being aroused by being part of the production in that way. They wouldn't. I don't want them to come out and understand what has been going on. I don't understand the text either, and I feel a complete understanding would again be an act of colonization, which would be destroying it. The production was also planned as a kind of installation where an audience walked through. So the audience is never really directly addressed by the actors, so the audience can be passive if they want to, but they can walk through an installation type performance where there are loads of images, either via slides or via videos and so on. And this is also part of the text, that this kind of world that we live in is fed in these videos. It's quite ironical that this is part of a film about this, and in that way it feeds this kind of industry that this kind of theatre actually stands against. But what can you do? Heiner Mueller says theatre is a dialogue between bodies and not between talking heads. And what I tried to do in the work with the actors in this production is to have them act with their full bodies. Although the text itself is just, just big monologues, but the bodies are, the relation of the bodies to each other are the real force, the theatrical force in this production, I hope. Medea is about desire and about wanting other bodies, and so this is a major kind of construction of this play during rehearsal as well as in performance.
Thunderous applause.
Obviously, here is fragmentation is the major thing. It's a collage effect. This collage effect has been called postmodernist, could be called modernist if one wants. It's certainly a kind of avant-garde theatrical forms that had these kind of plays have given freedom to be introduced into the very conservative form, which is theatre. Theatre is one of the most conservative artistic forms around, and these forms are being broken up by texts like Mueller's. That the institutionalized theatre, the institutional theatre, is challenged by this kind of impossibility of performance of texts like that.
Is lowered from the flies and put upright on stage. Two female figures with death masks lead a girl on stage and place her with her back to the bed. Dressing of the bride. She is tied to the bed with the belt of her wedding dress. Two male figures with death masks lead the bridegroom in and place him facing the bride. He stands on his head, walks on his hands, turns cartwheels before her, etc. She laughs without a sound. He rips up the wedding dress and takes his place with the bride. The male death masks tie the hands of the bride to the bed with the shreds of the wedding dress, and the female death masks her feet. The remains serve to gag her, while the man stands on his head, walks on his hands, turns cartwheels, etc. before the female spectators. The woman's belly swells until it bursts. The female death masks pull a child from the woman's belly, untie her hands, place the child in her arms. Meanwhile, the male death masks have draped the man with so many arms that he can move only on all fours. The woman takes off her face, rips up the child, and hurls the parts in the direction of the man. Debris, limbs, intestines fall from the flies on the man. End.
whom he loves. Her unwittingly. Assassination, her unwittingly. Jason! Jason!
Woman.
Woman! And is not with a slave's voice. Die! With this your choice, you did not! Nor did I. Die!
What do you want?
Die! No with hands, no with arms. Die! Die! Does this body mean nothing anymore to you, Jason? Do you want to drink my blood?
Woman.
Medea! Medea! You still owe me a brother, Jason.
2 sons I gave you for 1 brother.
Do you love them, Jason, your sons? I've been your bitch. Your whore is what I was. But you drank your dinner of things from me, your feces, your whore. Victory over my country and my people. That was my truth. Your bloody friend. On my skin, on my own land. Your alien fears. Your if you're my man, then I am still your woman. Gives me back you came here with the boots of your crew, Jason. The graves of those who were my people. With your crew's hands, and with mine, who was your bitch, and who has been your whore. From your seed, and stuff it into your whore's eager womb, my bridal present for your and her wedding. You still owe me a brother, Jason. Owe me a brother, Jason. With gold from Colchis, and dyed with the blood from the bridal feasts of fathers, brothers, sons. It shall adorn your new love, just as if it were my skin. So I'll be close to you, close to her, and far away from me. Go now to your new wedding, Jason. Go!
Of zombies proliferated by
broken statues on the run from an unknown tempest.
My walk through the outer skirts.
The youth of today, ghosts of the dead of the war that is happened.
Falkenberg, the past instead. Don't you notice? They are dangerous. They are actors. Each flock of actors clearly is alive. Don't you notice they're dangerous? A dog! They're actors, rusty armor.
He's a man of rubble, natives of the concrete, array of zombies.
The new box cells with electric heating!
the dead, they say. The dead. Stand on the bottom, up.
At the nightly window between city and landscape, we watched the flies dying slowly.
Between city and landscape, what you flies dying.
Clouds. They live in unknown type. Clouds of an unknown type. Paradise.
It's just a glow.
Gone hunting, my fingers.
Mars with clouds of an unknown.
At the night sky. Between city and landscape, we watch the flies die. We watch the flies die.
In the uniform of yesterday morning's fashion. Yet what remains is created by bombs. In the splendid mating of protein and tin, the children lay out landscapes with trash.
And the long first legs drain burst
Dried up blood and smoke.
to the swamp like poles in the uniforms of their enemies.
The theatre of my death.
All the hapless landing.
The theatre of a new.
Why
the expected end.
As I stood
Of
between
here
the
I don't
mountains
mind
and
smoking in the sun.
Without thinking, my body.
The theatre.
I knew
And the theatre of my
this
destiny.
engine was what my grandmother
Hello,
used to
Howard.
call. I knew this engine was what my grandmother used to call.
dried up
In the fact this morning,
my body into the nest and shots of my reeling flight.
we at last
Shots crackled.
swept the corpses off the plateau.
The starved and cold sight.
I actually felt, I was quite surprised that the audience reactions to the performance were not in terms of that they were sort of felt that it was elitist or avant-garde. It felt that the audiences were quite naively enjoying a lot of it and taken by it, and it was actually quite successful. Something which was, at least for people that are not. It was not successful for art critics, for art philosophers that hated the play, for conventional theatre critics, for conventional theatre people. So the people in the industry actually didn't like it, but people seem to have liked it, especially young people. Really, from I paraphrase you from another interview of Mueller's. He says this, the only thing which a work of art can do is to awaken a kind of desire for another state of the world. And this desire is revolutionary. And anything that in commercialized, industrialized art does is in fact kill desire, because it is in the interest of the powers that are that there is no revolution. Going back to this old myth, Mueller tries to talk about now, and in New Zealand, the idea of colonization can be seen in several ways. Naturally, as one of the latest countries that has been colonized, and also as a country that is being colonized again in the last decade or so by this kind of growth ideology, this ideology that is consists in exploiting a country and its people for monetary gain,